diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. Yeah, we Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Ric Flairing, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. One eye open like Betty Wops and fine to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness is really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us. We Ric Flairing on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase, yeah, Bubba C, yeah, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flair, son up, baby.
Hey, Roundtable Season 2. Scotty and Blue. Backpack coming through. Let's square it away, ain't nothing like the round table. I pay you if able to find better on cable. They made you appreciate Scotty and Blue. Football media, walking encyclopedia. Scott understand the Blue got the stats handy. Football the topic around it, they ain't dancing. Stat sheet longer than Clifford Harris's rap sheet. He run a phone, see why you playing them that deep. Awkward silence, no need to be quiet. You know you saw the game, we might as well talk about it. Somebody caught a body in front of everybody. Pick six, cornerback out here committing robberies. How much you wanna bet we could cover the spread? 50 yards in the game, 100 after the catch. Throw it up if you want, I'ma grab it and flex. Season 2, Captain Pettier, still with the mess. You can move how you want, but we gon' move too. Round table with your boys, yeah, Scotty and Blue. Backpack. Poet.
What is going on, everybody? It's the Roundtable with me, your man Scotty, and my boy Blue.
What's good, man? Hey, it's been a wild few days, past 2 weeks, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Listen, man, you already know what we do with the Roundtable. We love bringing on some special guests. And today, listen, a very, very close friend of mine, Mr. Pro Football Focus is what I like to call him. Got a great podcast. Give it for my man Cam.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Honored to be here with Blue and Scotty, man. I listen to their content every day and get to be a part of theirs for no one time. So can't wait to get to it.
Hey, why you trying to be too cool, bro? Hey, hey.
Hey, he'll loosen up with them call lines. If they anything like last week, he's gonna be turning the mic off, unplugging it, having connection issues.
Man, he gonna be like, you know what, Scotty, I gotta go, man. I got the wife is calling me. But hey, guys, listen, man. This is a football panel today. All right, we only bring you the best of the best, and we give you the best as we always do. Listen, starting it off now. You already know I gotta go to my lane. Thursday night football. Blue is 0-1. I'm 1-0 on Thursday night picks. Let me just don't bring up no college football picks, Blue. No. We sing it straight to Thursday night. I'm 1-0.
Yeah, man, you don't want to compare records this year. It's tough. It's a bad look for you this year, man. Whoever you pick tonight, I'm going the opposite way.
No, I'm doing jinx picks. I'm going back to jinx picks back in the day. But Thursday night football, Steelers versus Browns. Cam, you the guest. You can pop it off for us.
Yeah, I got Cleveland, to bounce back from whatever the hell happened last week against the Jets. A game they should have won. I think they beat Pittsburgh. They go 2-1 on the season. I think take first place in the division. I just feel like offensively they have an identity that Pittsburgh's still trying to find. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, I think they're going to get back on track collectively. They run about 100 yards combined together, and I think that D-line terrorizes Mitchell Trubisky, who I'll predict after he struggles again this week, it'll be Kenny Pickett time next week in New York. So
what you got, Blue?
Man, I'm going Browns. I can't pick a Mitch Trubisky team. I don't know much about the NFL, but I'm not picking Mitch Trubisky. That's all I know. So I'm riding with the Browns, man. I think that defense has enough to get it done.
Oh man, that man said I can't pick a Mitch Trubisky team. Listen, I feel a little weird because it's always me as the lone wolf. I'm going with the Steelers. Listen, man, I can't bet against Tomlin. I think Tomlin's one of those coaches that you just be like, how in the hell does this team be competitive? It's like nothing. I don't know, Blue never probably had this struggle, but it's like when you're growing up, you know what I'm saying? And you looking in the cabinets, you like, man, mama ain't nothing to eat. Mike Tomlin just whip up something, you be like, hey, here you go. You be like, it wasn't nothing in there. It wasn't nothing that you knew was in there, but I can cook. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what Tomlin is. Like he goes in the cupboard, it's empty. It's just like, but he comes out with a gourmet meal, and Bama's be eating. So I gotta go with Tomlin. It don't make no type of sense, but hey, it just is what it is. It's Mike Tomlin, man. It's Mike Tomlin. So should be a good game. Nice little rivalry in the Browns. They doing big things. Now, listen, as Blue said, it's a lot to talk about. First things first, got to get to the rumor mill. All right, Deion, Auburn rumors. Blue, you are an Auburn. I mean, you bleed. I think if you cut yourself, burnt orange comes out. But you are Auburn through and through. Talk to me. I know you're the man on the plan.
Nah, man. Listen, no truth, man. Listen, Scotty, you'll get a crack out of this. I did a whole 20-minute segment last night about how it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And I still got Jackson State fans mad at me that I said it wasn't true. I'm like, I don't like if I would have went on here and said he took the job, y'all be ready to fight me. And now y'all are mad at me because I said it wasn't true. I need the same consistency here. It just listen, man, you can't win sometimes. But listen, no truth yet. The job's not even open. And like I said last night, my guy I talked to at Auburn, I can't say the names, of course, because it's not open. There's been 2 coaches that either agents have reached out or Auburn's been in contact with their agent, and neither of them were Coach Brown.
Okay.
And so it's not going to happen. Listen, do I, as a football person, do I think he could be successful? Hell yeah, I do. I mean, he's going to recruit better than anyone in the conference, and Nick Saban don't want the smoke across the state. But if you understand the political structure behind the scenes with some of the people who are really calling the shots, there's zero chance. And I think They're going to offer him an interview. They're going to reach out to him. But as soon as he peeks behind the curtain about the power structure behind Auburn, zero chance he ever considers this job for his Power 5 opportunity. But as I've talked, with multiple Jackson State people and everything, not taking the interview would be stupid for your career. If you get an opportunity to interview for an SEC job, just due to the fact that it gives you interview experience, et cetera, makes connections. So he's going to eventually interview for this job if I had to predict, but there is a 0.000001 chance that it ever happens. And I don't think it would ever happen. But listen, where it came from, where this rumor started, Ben Leard and some of the former players went on some shows this week and really, really vouched for Coach Prime to be the new head coach. They want him, and so it's like kind of this grassroots movement behind the scenes from fans and some former players and some people that have a little bit of power that want him to step in. But when it comes down to it, those fans and those people don't have the power that some of the behind the scenes guys have. So I don't see it happening. They're already tracking flights, Scotty, on the On3 board. There was a flight 4 days ago that went from Jackson to Auburn, and there's already people tracking that and posting it. So that's how crazy these Power 5 job searches are. And the fact that Brian Harson's still coaching this Saturday at Auburn against Missouri. So they're tracking flights and put people in this position. And the dude still has to go out there and coach on Saturday with 2 quarterbacks out.
I would really hate that, Cam. I know I saw you in the chat, Cam, out of my Auburn show with Deion. You have some points and views of what you think Deion will do. What are some of those? And do you think if he says it's a .001, all right, that's like the lottery. Bama's be winning. Okay, let's not act. Okay, let's not act like Bama's gonna be winning the lottery. All right, so what's your view if he does go to Auburn, and what's your view on the outlook of Deion at Jackson State?
So I honestly feel like this is it for him. I think there's just too many jobs opening up in the FBS ranks for somebody not to throw the kitchen sink at Deion and kind of give him what he wants, which is ultimately full control at a P5 to do what he can do. And I don't think he really will be at Jackson State long term after this year. Now, Blue says Auburn, no chance. He's plugged in, he's sourced in, so I'm going to rock with that. But there's some things he's doing currently that kind of strike me as a little odd. Travis Hunter hasn't played since week 1, and there's been rumblings that he wants to play, but people, behind the scenes are holding him back, and I think a lot of those guys are Deion. And my feeling behind it is maybe Deion is saving his prize recruit for the big move down the line in the future, maybe as soon as next year. So, look, I think what people are ignoring is last year when the TCU job was open, Blue was one of the main ones that highlighted that Deion interviewed for that gig. And he interviewed for that gig while he was in the hospital. So he was pretty upset he didn't get that gig. He wanted the Arkansas gig before he went to Jackson State. He was upset about that as well. He's went on air and publicly said he felt like he should have got a lot of these Power 5 head coaching positions. But we know why he couldn't, because he wasn't qualified with the degree and everything. So that's his end goal. And I think for guys that kind of want him to stay there, to ignore that he has a track record of putting his hat in the ring for these positions is kind of foolish in the grand scheme of things. So when I look at it for what it is, Arizona State job's open, the Nebraska job's open, Georgia Tech job's open, the Auburn job will be open, countless other jobs will be open down the line. It's just going to be too many outlets that are going to desire his services, and I think he's going to go to the one that's the best fit for him and his kids. Don't really see this guy being at Jackson State next season.
Okay, so for me, I think the thing, and I would have never hired Deion coming out of high school, because you just don't. I mean, let's be real, man. I don't know what you are. You know what I'm saying? Until you go prove it what you are. Like, I mean, it's with anything. You're like, you're not going to hire somebody as a director of any job and they have no experience at said job or even close to being in the same realm. So I get why he had to go to Jackson to build his resume, to show he can run a program, and you see the influence that he has. So now when he goes to a program, it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? You ain't want me when I was a little fry. Now I'm the big fry, and then you got to come with the bag. You know what I'm saying? So I think he has a lot of leverage. I think he has a lot going for him, and he could really just sit back and do as he please, because if he runs through the SWAC again, I don't see why he wouldn't run through the SWAC again next year with more talent. You know what I'm saying? So look, at the end of the day, it's Deion's decision. If Deion decides to roll, he decides to roll. If he decides to stay, he decides to stay. That just is what it is, and that's the nature of the beast. I don't wish for him to leave, and I will never stop him from getting a promotion. That's just, you know what I'm saying? Just like you don't want nobody to count your pockets, I ain't counting Deion's pockets, but if it's being talked about, you got to discuss it, and that's what we do. We talk about sports. Anything else, Blue, before we move on?
No, I'm good, man. That's all I had.
All right, let's go to the week 3 recap. It was some very interesting games this week. All right, very interesting games this week. Cam, you're the guest. We would love for you to start off and pick a game that you were interested in, and that you was like, let's talk about.
I have 2, but I'm gonna go with the big one that everybody kind of is looking at. Texas Southern blanking Southern.
Come on!
I mean, it was a shock to say the least.
Cam.
I had Southern.
Cam. You say Texas Southern, what do you got to say?
Everybody.
I need more energy. I need no. You got to head back and say it like you mean it.
Everybody.
Show me the mic, like show me the money. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a shock. I mean, coming into the year, I had Southern winning the West. The media outlets had Southern winning the West, and to kind of see them go into the Arlington Classic game against Texas Southern and losing them a second year in a row, this time getting blanked with a new head coach and arguably a better team than the program had last year, was a little shocking. I thought Body set the tone early offensively. They were moving the ball up and down the field. And then the surprising thing about it all was defensively, they were able to kind of push the pocket and get to the quarterback. Michael Atkins had 2 sacks. Martinez had a sack of his own and was pretty good in run defense. While I do think that there are some things Southern didn't do that allowed Texas Southern to kind of control the game and never relinquish it, you got to give TSU credit, because a lot of people coming in didn't have hope with them winning this game because they got blanked. You know, PV gave them that work with no passes.
Yeah.
And then North Texas gave them that work again. So we're all thinking, Southern, they're going to bounce back after the LSU game and do what they do and run them over. And for that to not happen and for TSU to win convincingly was a shock of the weekend for me by far.
Ooh. All right, Blue, what you got?
Nah, man, that was pretty sad. I ain't gonna lie, that was a bad. Like I checked the score because I wasn't watching that game, and like I tuned into your channel and I saw that like you had the score and it's 24-0. I was like, gotta be a typo. I gotta go check that for myself, and damn sure it was 24-0. I was like, holy crap! But you know, my 2, I'm gonna go outside the SWAC. Morgan State's win over Sacred Heart was the first
Blue.
one that. Listen, I really don't. I get it because people, you know, really aren't into Morgan State football like some of the other schools that we're going to talk about today. But man, Morgan State went out there and put on a show. And if they can find a quarterback, this team is going to be terrifying next year. And they are going to be a bona fide MEAC contender. And right now, I think they're the 3rd best team in the MEAC right this second.
Absolutely.
With the first year head coach who didn't have a lot of time to bring in his players. He's got these guys playing high level football, and they went out there and held FCS consensus All-American Malik Grant to less than a yard and a half per carry. They went crazy on the defensive side of the football. They ran the ball well. Their defense played really well. I got to give Morgan State a lot of credit. And the other one, of course, North Carolina Central, man. This team is legit. They went out there, and Scotty, it wasn't close from the jump. Scotty, I mean, you play the offense side of the football. Do you know how hard it is to go 12 for 15 on 3rd downs against the top 25 team on the road?
12 for 15?
Yes, that's how efficient they were. I mean, they consistently stayed in 3rd and short because they can run the football, and Davis Richards' athleticism never lets him get behind the chains because he's so big that he's falling forward for 3-4 yards even on the bad plays. And that front 7 has played outstanding football, and Khalil Baker right now in the first 3 games of the season has 3 interceptions. He's continuing his streak there. This team is complete, Scotty, and right now I listen, we know what South Carolina State is in big games, and it's all due to coaching. Buddy Pugh and that staff deserve a lot of credit, but on paper right now, North Carolina Central is the best team in the MEAC, and I don't know if there's a real debate right now that anyone can hang with them.
Nah, and I think what takes them over the top is the quarterback play and the offensive play. I mean, I talked to Cam about it, and he just talks about how balanced they are, how they can beat you in multiple and variety of ways. You know, if it's Davis throwing the ball, throwing people open, if it's them running the ball, and then they have a defense that will show up and get with you. But I think right now, if you're South Carolina State, because listen, South Carolina State, they can run the ball. Kendrell, they got wide receivers that can make plays. But it all comes down to Corey Fields. What Corey Fields are you going to see, and who do you trust? You know what I'm saying? So at this point, you have no choice but to trust Richards. But for me, I got two games, but the one game that people go listen, Delta State versus Valley. listen. It wasn't even close, and the score doesn't even do it justice of how dominant Delta State was against Valley. It was just unreal, honestly, absolutely unreal. Listen, them trenches, hey, they can't mess with them boys. You know what I'm saying? But Blue, I know you heard Dancy say he's going with Jamari, which it was a spark. I can't lie, he was a spark for that team, but I think it's only so much running you can do, and that's really how the spark got. He would run, scramble around, make some improv, and then through that. And listen, man, the next game, of course, is going to be Grambling and Jackson State. All right, I chose Grambling. Grambling let me down, but they have a damn good game plan in the first half. But at the end of the day, listen, players make. My coach used to always say, big time players make big time plays in big time situations, and Grambling doesn't have but one guy on that team that is going to make you a play that's going to break your back, and that's Maurice Washington. And he's on the sideline getting IVs every 2 drives. How effective can he really be for your team? But I talked to somebody from Grambling today, and they said, Scotty, listen, that old regime at Grambling, them old players, they have a bad mentality. They don't understand adversity, and they don't have that grit like some of these new freshmen have coming from winning programs where they don't understand losing. You know what I'm saying? So he said you have these juniors and seniors who are just going through the motions, and then you have these freshmen who are better, but they just can't trust the team to a bunch of freshmen at this point in time. And I know me and Blue, we talk about all the time. I asked about Faison. They said JR has been outperforming him in practice. It is because Faison has been so used to dominating at the high school level that he doesn't show up at practice every day. So he comes, he shows up, he does what he does, and then he might show up for 2 plays, and then he might not show up for 2 plays in practice. So they just want him to be more dependable and stuff like that. But the same person from Grambling said that next year, wait till the fall. They on that Jackson State, wait till the fall, because they said they're trying to groom all these young freshmen to take over these spots. And then they're adding the transfer portal. It might be something next year, so be on the lookout for Grambling. Anybody want to double back?
Oh man, this is a tale of 2 halves, man. One came out there, and I think the depth that Jackson State talked about in the offseason came to fruition. You mentioned Maurice cramping up. You mentioned some of the top players cramping up. When that happens with Jackson State, they got someone to step in and play. And we talk about that's what separates FCS from FBS schools and those extra scholarships. That's what separates Jackson State from a lot of other SWAC schools right now, is that they have a 2 deep that can play. Valley doesn't have a 2 deep. Texas Southern probably doesn't have a 2 deep. FAMU didn't have a 2 deep. And so that's the real difference that I think a lot of people are missing. And also, I think we're seeing, the coaching is catching up too. The adjustments were immaculate. You don't just score 45 points in a half in the second half based on talent alone. They made the adjustments they needed to make it, man. They put it on Grambling in that second half.
Yeah, and I think that's a tell. I think that's a tell of Brett Bartolone and Mike Zimmer and Dennis Thurman really understanding what Grambling was trying to do, understanding that Grambling is a one-man team at this point in time, because you can't trust nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So it's literally you stop Maurice or you stop this running attack, we can go home with the dub easy. You know what I'm saying? Anything, Cam? Any other games?
Yeah, like you said with Grambling, just piggybacking what you guys said, the coaches are there, the mentality is there, the personnel's there. It's just like you said, they're a year or 2 away, and so Jackson State game kind of highlighted that. They hung around in the first half with a pretty good game plan defensively, played coverage on the back end, trust our front line to kind of contain whatever they can provide, and then they're going to run the football, and then eventually they just wore down. And I mean, that's inevitably what happens. And so the wait till fall mindset, I can get with. I understand. In college football, we know the drill. When a new coach comes in, it takes them about 2 to 3 years to get their personnel in. So you should really judge Grambling off of the season coming up and then the season after that. So the narrative that Grambling is going to win the SWAC West, I'm not going to buy that, because I think they're going to have a lot more games, not on the Jackson State kind of side where you're getting crushed in the second half, but there's going to be a lot of growing pains in the SWAC moving forward this year to kind of get them ready for the ultimate test, which is the season after.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And before we get to the week 4 recap, I want to take a slight detour. We're 1/3 through the season, right? We're 1/3 through the season. I need to know your 1/3 season awards at this time. We already know what the number 1 is. Probably gonna be a consensus at the top. All right, but going down below that, where do you have for the 1/3 season awards?
I'll kill the suspense with the offensive player. It's Shador.
Yeah, I mean,
he got the numbers. I mean, he got the numbers. You know what I'm saying? They've been pretty solid offensively 2 of the first 3 games, and I think at the pace that he's going, I don't really have the numerical pace that he's going, but in essence, he'll probably get about 40 touchdowns total. And so I think he's a shoo-in to get Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is kind of tricky. Ronnie Thomas from Valley has been pretty good against some non-conference opponents. Now, I know Valley sucks, but does have 5 sacks. He did pretty well against Austin P, who's in essence a one-man wrecking crew within that front line. I think if he continues on his tear within the SWAC and gets double-digit sacks, I think he'll be this year's Isaiah Land and when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year award. Newcomer of the Year, I think it's...
Hold on. We're going to go to Blue. Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, offensive player, Shador. I mean, if I said anything else, I'd be lying. Defensive player, it was between it. I went back and forth between Ronnie Thomas and Niles Gaddy. I got to go with Ronnie Thomas, man. He right now he leads. He's top 5 in sacks in the country, top 3 in tackles for loss in the country, and right now he leads Gaddy in the biggest defensive line stats and sacks and tackles for loss and just total tackles. So right now, statistically, we know these are statistical awards. You have to go with Ronnie Thomas. Now, do I think that sticks? Probably not, especially if Gaddy goes out there this weekend against Valley offensive line and puts up like 5. Then I think that could really hurt Ronnie Thomas. And we'll see how he plays against Jackson State, man. It's a revamped offensive line. It's going to be a great test for those offensive tackles for Jackson State. But for me, it has to be Ronnie Thomas right now, with Niles as a close second.
You know what? I think a lot of people are going to not like this, but my Defensive Player of the Year was Cam. I mean, he had 12 tackles. I think he had 12 tackles against. He didn't play against Grambling, I believe, because he was hurt. But he had 12 tackles because we're talking about 1/3. So he had 7 tackles against. He had 7 or 8 tackles against FAM. He had 12 tackles against. He had 12 tackles. Who's the team they played right before Graham? Tennessee
State.
Yeah, 12 tackles against Tennessee State. I believe he had a pick against Tennessee State or FAMU. He's also had a forced fumble against FAMU. So, I know a lot of safeties. It's hard for it's not a lot of Charles Woodson awards coming out here, for DBs and stuff like that. But Cam can make a strong case if he can stay healthy that. Come on, bro. You got 12 tackles as a safety. I mean, he's average. I think he has more tackles. I think he has the most tackles in the DB room, and I think he's probably like second on the team for tackles. Next to the linebacker position. And listen, Cam had a pick against Graham, so So I just
got 2 sacks, as well.
You know what I'm saying? So I just people. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cam's production. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's there. You know what I'm saying? And I think if he can keep this tradition, he stays healthy, doesn't have shoulder issues, and I think he can be Defensive Player of the Year. I know a lot of people won't. It's not the sexy pick because people like DNs and linebackers because they're always in the fray. But I think Cam definitely has a way he can slide in there DPOY if people just look at the outside looking in. All right, Cam, Newcomer of the Year. Who you got?
Yeah, Dallas Daniels. He's come in from Jackson State. Has been a de facto wide receiver one. He's taken the Kevin guy from last year. His last name's blanking on me.
Keith
But
Corbin.
He's taken Keith Corbin. My bad. He's taken the Keith Corbin role. He's become Shador's best friend in the passing game. And coming into the year where you have Kevin Coleman, who was a top 5 wide receiver coming out of high school. Malachi Wyman, when he was available and played, was a man amongst boys at the wide position. So we automatically thought they were going to hold it down as the wide receiver 1s and 2s. And then Daniels just comes in and takes over the show, becomes the alpha dog. And every time you turn on the tape, anytime he step out on the field offensively, he's been the model citizen of consistency. And so I think he's a shoo-in to be newcomer of the year. And the way that they throw the ball around and the way their offense sustains their level of play, I think it'll be a landslide by the end of the year to get the award.
I like it. What you got, Blue? Newcomer of the year.
I got 1A and 1B again, man, because I think because here's what I want to remind you guys. They're not going to give all 4 of these to Jackson State players. Even if someone deserves it,
really,
they don't want the backlash. They're not going to give it to all 4 Jackson State players. I'm just going to tell you. It happens all the time across every college football conference because the SIDs and whoever votes for these do not want to spite the other schools. Even if there's 4 Jackson State players that deserve it, it will be very, very hard to win them all. So I got a 1A. Dallas Daniels, of course, he just broke it down. I mean, right now he is the most consistent wide receiver on Jackson State. And I think, Scotty, I told you beforehand, I really did think he could hit 1,000 yards this year in that deep wide receiving room, and I think he still can. And I think he's going to make a real run at leading that team in catches by a significant margin. Now, my honorable mention, though, Javion Howard for Alcorn State.
Oh,
transfer running back from Syracuse. Right now, Howard is averaging almost 6 yards per carry, leads the SWAC in rushing. He is the leading rusher for the SWAC already. Didn't get a lot of carries against Tulane, really. If he can establish himself over Nico Duffy and lead Alcorn to the division title and get to the SWAC championship, I can see them giving it to Howard just so it's not a JSU sweep.
Oh man, that's a good one, Blue. And you stole mine. I was like, dang, because I was gonna go 1A. I was gonna do the Dallas Daniels, and then I was gonna do the Syracuse guy as well. But if I'm gonna give it, I'm gonna flip it. I would say, I know it's a 1/3 season award. I know it, and out of those games, the consistency of Dallas Daniels, but Wilkerson has to be in there somewhere. Wilkerson has to be in there somewhere for newcomer, just because of how impactful he's been for at the Tennessee State game and definitely in the Grambling game. He was huge in those. But then my 1B would definitely have to be the Syracuse Howard from Alcorn. Listen, this kid is an absolute stud, and the way he runs the ball, he runs hard. I mean, he's a powerful back, hard to get down. He loves what he does, and he's good at what he does. And I think he's a catalyst. Nico and him are catalysts for that Alcorn State. All right, for the last one, freshman of the year, we might have a consistency on this one, but Cam, who you got?
Yeah, I think it's D. Davis currently. He was the MEAC SWAC offensive player of the game when they played Howard. I thought he set the tone for them. And after that, he's been in and out of the lineup. He didn't last particularly long when they played Lane, and then he didn't play the UCLA game. But, excuse me, I think the expectation is he'll be available for the PV game. And I think if he wins PV, he beats Texas Southern, and when they play Jackson State, he's at least relatively competitive. I think Alabama State by the end of the year will probably be a 6-win team, and he'll be a huge part of that. So I think he's also a shoo-in to win freshman of the year because of it.
Got you. Blue, what you got?
Is D. Davis right now. I mean, because really there's only 2 freshmen that I think are even going to be eligible right now. And right now, both are out with injury. So, and I just think quarterback is always going to have the advantage. And so and I expect him to be back before Travis Hunter, of course. And so I think he has a chance to take a lead here. And like you said, if he can go out here and win and put a little streak on and get Alabama State in the conversation and put up some nice stats, I think D. Davis is going to walk away with freshman of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in full agreement. If it wasn't for Hugh Jackson keeping my boy Faison out the game, I would definitely go with Faison Wilson at Grambling. But listen, Demetrius Davis, he's a quarterback. You get the ball in your hand every single play, every single down, and he's just too electric, man. I mean, he is just too electric not to get voted on. And listen, when we were talking about this earlier, we didn't even know if he was a true freshman. So that's still up in the air as well. So but definitely got to go with D. Davis on this one as freshman of the year. Cam, KJ asks, who's your team?
In the SWAC, I'm a JSU alum.
Come on, tell
So JSU alum, class of 2020. I don't really have a team. I think, in the SWAC, and I just want everybody to do well, want games to be competitive, to say the least. But not a team in particular, but I am a JSU alum, so.
Look at that. See, so all y'all JSU people over here talking about something. He need to speak up. Now y'all all good with him, right? Now y'all all go, hey, you Jackson State alum. You good. Be low. Be quiet. You good. All right, let's get to these week 4 matchups, guys. All right, starting it off nice. You got North Carolina A&T, South Carolina State. We got Hampton versus Delaware, Alcorn, UAPB. Oh, God, UAPB. Woo. We also got NCCU with the walkaway win. Texas Southern going to UTSA. Jackson State and Valley, and some last matchups. We got Grambling and Bethune. We got I put some D2 schools in here. These Benedict and Fort Valley State are trying to stay undefeated. Shout out to Division II. FAMU and Alabama A&M. Cam, wherever you want to go, wherever you want to start, we rocking with you.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by the Alcorn UAPB game. Alcorn, I thought, has done a pretty good job the first 3 games of the year establishing their identity, reminding everybody in the SWAC West that they're here to stay and they're here to be a force to be reckoned with. And with UAPB, they beat 2D schools to start the year. They got completely blasted by Oklahoma State. That's expected. Didn't really expect them to compete there. And so now we get to see who they really are in SWAC play. Skylar Perry has looked a lot better than what he was a year ago. They have a litany of running backs that they kind of lean on and are pretty much revamped defense overall. So we kind of get to see these 2 opponents open up SWAC play as SWAC West rivals. So I'm really intrigued to see how they match up with each other. And we'll get to find out how dominant Alcorn can be in their Western division. And the UAPB show evolutions of growth, and can they compete throughout the season?
I got it. Blue, where you going for your week 4 matchup?
Man, so for these, man, well, I'll start, where he did, with that Alcorn game. I think that was going to be a blowout. They beat an NAIA squad in North American University, and then they play a D2 team. Lane put up 42 on them, and they struggled last week, of course, against a Power 5 team. I think Alcorn wins handily, but the other 2 games are 2 games that I actually, talked about and broke down. That South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T game is going to be a must win for both teams. Because if you're South Carolina State, I get it. It doesn't end your season. It's an out of conference game. But man, you want to talk about some confidence across the conference for NCCU if you go out there and get beat by North Carolina A&T after what they just did and the high that they're on beating a top 25 team. You can't let that happen. And then you're looking at A&T 0-4 to win this, if they lose this game, and they still have to play Bryant next week, which has been a really, really solid Big South team. I got South Carolina State winning this one 27-24, Scotty. I don't believe in either of the quarterbacks, but I trust the front 7 of South Carolina State more so than I trust A&T. When you got Jablonski Green, you got Godbolt, you got the freshman guy that has been playing out of his mind on the D-line, you get BJ Davis at linebacker. I just trust them to go out there and get it done. And I think they've looked more consistent. They're coming off of that Bethune-Cookman win. But then for the Hampton Delaware game, I get it. Scotty, I don't know if you know this. Right now, Hampton ranks 1st in the CAA in rushing defense and 2nd in total defense thus far throughout the season. So the defense has been carrying the squad. Listen, Jada Kiss-Bond's almost 300 yards receiving, full receiving touchdowns. But Delaware is too good. I think Delaware pulls away late in this one. Nolan Henderson was one of my FCS players of the week. Their leading tackler in 3 games has 42 total tackles already. I think Delaware pulls away late, 38-17 Blue Hens this weekend over Hampton.
Woo, man. Man, listen, I'll probably have to. Oh man, that thing's on this Flow Sports, ain't it?
Yeah, I hate Flow Sports, man. That is it's atrocious. It is atrocious.
Man, hey, SWAC Football Network, man, make sure you rip this game for us, bro. Like,
Please,
man, because I ain't paying for no Flow Sports. For me, guys, I out of all these games, the South Carolina State and North Carolina A&T game is probably the most exciting one for me that I'm excited to see. And since I'm doing jinx picks, I'm gonna go with A&T. I'm going to go with North Carolina A&T to win. Close one. say 27-20. You know what I'm saying? Going with that. That's for a jinx pick. I think UAPB might surprise some people. I really do. I really do. I didn't watch the Oklahoma State game. I wanted to go back and watch that. I just want to see what it was. I know Blue Alcorn had. And me and Cam talked about this earlier today. They should be 2-1. They should be 2-1 with 2 out of conference wins. Not much. You don't see that from SWAC schools. I just want to be very clear. You usually don't see that from SWAC schools being 2-1 out of conference wins. So big up to Alcorn. I think Alcorn wins that, and that's not a jinx pick for me. That's just a straight up matchup. I just think they're a better overall team. They know who they are. They know what they want to be, and I think that I still think that UAPB is going to put up a good fight, but we'll see how that goes going forward. And listen, it ain't no need to talk about these both are about to be blowouts. The NCCU,
all 3.
You know what I'm saying? But Texas Southern, my boy, hey, you buddy. Listen, my boy, I need you and David Marsh to get your shit together, okay? I need you to talk to David and tell him to let you off the leash, okay? Because what you did to Southern, you could have did in the second half as well. You guys got super conservative and ran, and was just hoping to get out the game with a win, all right? I need David Marsh to let you off the leash, okay? I need that, all right? Going to these last few games, guys, I want to get your X factors in some of these games. So Grambling, Bethune, Blue starters off. X factors in this game for Grambling versus Bethune.
Coaching decisions for Bethune-Cookman. If Walter Simmons does not walk out on that field at quarterback, I'm going to be pissed. There's no reason Walter Simmons shouldn't be QB1 after what happened last week. There's no excuse. It's the same thing happening at Valley. It's no excuse for Walter Simmons to go out to not be out there. If they don't start Walter Simmons, Bethune-Cookman has 0 chance in this game. And the question mark that I do have is just the health of Grambling. They're coming off a real physical game in the heat. A lot of guys were cramping up, dealing with some minor injuries. What is the overall health of this? What is the overall health of this team going to look like? And so that's my biggest question for Grambling. But in terms of player X factors, Kamari Everett better show up.
Man,
if you're an FCS All-American, this is pathetic. This year has been pathetic for Kamari Everett. And I get he hasn't had any quarterback play, but he didn't have any last year. He's got to play better, man. He has played 3 horrible games, and this is his time. You better show out. And for Grambling, can we please get Maurice Washington, Scotty, has yet to have over 5 carries in a game.
And he got an average 80. He had to me, I think he averages 80 yards. Less than 5 carries, average 80 yards.
It's ridiculous, man. It is absolutely ridiculous that he can't get more than 5 carries in a game. He needs to get healthy, and they need to put the ball in his hands. And so those are my 2 X factors for that game.
All right, Cam. Who you got for Grambling X factors?
Yeah, piggyback on Blue. Kamari Everett, he's the X factor. 9 targets, 2 catches. First 3 games of the year. And I wrote an article for PFF, top 10 HBCU prospects. He was my number 1 guy. Wow. And he has not looked like that number 1 guy at all. And I kind of looked at this year as a prime opportunity for him to get over the century mark as a receiver, 1,000-yard mark rather, as the receiver. That would have automatically, in my opinion, made him a day 2 pick. He's not going to probably get close to that as the season goes on. I just need him to show up against a Grambling team that has shown throughout the season they're not that very good of a secondary. And while their quarterback play has been horrendous, he's going to have plenty of opportunities to get favorable matchups against the opposing DBs. He's got to take advantage and thrive to be successful and to re-raise his draft stock again. And for Grambling, I didn't even know Maurice Washington literally has gotten less than 5 carries throughout the year, or no more than 5. He's got to get more than that, and he's clearly their X factor because he's the best player within their offense this season. Bethune has showcased throughout the year that they can be ran on. Give this feature back 15 to 20 touches. Let him go off. Let him go berserk. And Grambling should get their first SWAC win of the season.
Listen, my X factors is at the end of the day, it has to be Quintarius Hawkins. Like, you got to get comfortable in this pocket, and you got to get comfortable quick. Because the quarterback play, it has to get better for Grambling. It just has to. And the wide receivers have to show up for Q. I mean, he was throwing some dimes, and Bama's was just dropping them, flat out dropping them. Maurice Washington is Maurice Washington. Hopefully, listen, I don't know what they feed him at Grambling, but it ain't working. All right, that boy needs some Pedialyte, right? He need to be drinking Pedialyte right now. All right, he needs to be drinking Pedialyte right now. Okay, because I don't know what they feeding him, but it ain't working. Because the Bama's stay getting the IV and stay dehydrated. All right, so they need to fix that. Bethune, I thought your defense would be a lot better. I really did. I thought it was going to take the next step going forward. How they finished the year, coming into this year, I thought Bethune-Cookman, Terry Simmons has always been a defensive-minded coach, and they just don't look like they've turned the corner defensively to be able to stop anybody. Listen, Jalen Jones is too good to not be on the field, not at quarterback. Listen to me.
Okay, I was about to make sure. I was like, please don't. Yeah. We can debate this.
Not at quarterback. I'm just saying he's too good of an athlete to be on the sideline. So find a place, have Walter, have him at receiver, put him at running back, make him what's the dude from the Atlanta Falcons? That the Cordell Patterson. Make him a Cordell Patterson. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have. He's just too talented to not be on the field, and that's where coaching. What Deion did for James Houston is what Terry Sims is going to have to sit down with Jalen Jones and say, bro, listen, you're an athlete. Let us use you as such, okay? Let us put you in the slot. Let us put you in the backfield. We got to keep – we're trying to get you on the field, make plays. He's just too much of an athlete to do so. So those are my X factors is that Jalen Jones is still an X factor, but it's not at the quarterback position. It's just using him as a go-to, a gadget guy, so they can move the ball. All right, going to FAMU, Alabama A&M. Blue, you popped off the first one. Cam, pop this one off for me. Your X factors for Alabama A&M and FAMU.
All right, so for FAM, I think the X factor has to be Isaiah Land. I mean, he hasn't showed up throughout the year. He's another guy that was on my top 10 HBCU prospect list. This was a huge year for him because the jury was out against Southeast Louisiana. Dude has no pass rushing moves, and he's kind of light in the ass. So add the moves, get bigger. You could see like a substantial step up in his play. That just hasn't happened. He disappeared against Jackson State, didn't do anything against Albany. Obviously couldn't play against UNC because of the academic situation. So this Alabama A&M offense is not that good. I mean, they run the ball particularly well. Their offensive line is not bad at run blocking, but they have no quarterback continuity, and it severely stagnates the offense as a whole. He needs to get about 2 to 3 sacks. I mean, it's pretty simple there for FAMU for them to win. And then for Alabama A&M, the X factor is just better quarterback play. I mean, that's a hard ask. I mean, because we haven't seen it. Langford, I know the coach likes Langford because they literally orchestrate and design an offense around his skill set, which they don't do for QC. He's just not that good. So I think personally, QC should start, and for the rest of the year, design an offense predicated around his skill set to be successful, because you have the best wide receiver in the SWAC, in Ibrahim, who is suffering because of the lack of productivity at QB1. So just competent QB play. That's the X factor for the Bulldogs for them to have a chance.
Call a spade a spade. What you got, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Xavier and Quincy are too good. They've combined for 7 interceptions and 0 passing touchdowns, and neither have completed over 50% of their passes. That is atrocious. And Gary Quarles is suffering from that because teams could just load the box, and good luck, because you ain't going to throw it. You're going to throw it to my players, so throw the ball. We love it. And so that's going to be a problem against this FAMU defense, because if you're one-dimensional against FAMU, it's over. You have 0 shot to go into Bragg and win that game if you can't throw the football. Zarion Hayes, though, for that Alabama A&M defense has been electric. He's great playing in the backfield at that DN spot. He was an App State transfer. But for me, on FAMU side, I'm going with Xavier Smith. The secondary for A&M did a good job slowing down Austin Peay's passing offense last week. Did a great job against Dre McCray. Xavier Smith right now, 222 receiving yards already, and didn't even play a full game, I don't believe, against the D2 team. So he's putting up crazy stats. He's the #1 target. It's his time to go eat against the secondary that does not have a lot of experience on the back end of this Alabama A&M defense.
I'm gonna take it in a different direction. I think the Alabama A&M defense is an X factor in this game, because they looked really good against Troy in the first half. Oh my goodness, I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, this can't be Alabama A&M because they're playing too good on defense. They looked decent against Austin Peay, but Troy really was their standout moment for me. And that Austin Peay game, it was like 7-3 all the way up until like the third quarter, and then they kind of ran off on them. So I think Alabama A&M's defense is coming back. They got Gabriel Floyd. He should be at this game as well. He's supposed to be the king athlete from what I've been hearing from the A&M side. So I think that's the X factor for me on that side of the ball. Listen, Cam, you said it perfectly, bro. The quarterback play has been atrocious. That's from my guy Quincy Casey, all right, as well as from Xavier Lanford. You have a guy in Quincy that loves to push the ball down the field, loves to drop back and throw the ball, and you have an Xavier Lanford who is more comfortable running the ball and then doing bootlegs and moving the pocket and things like that. So at some point in time, you have to fit that system for somebody and make a decision. And I said it, having the affinity for Akil Glass and what he was able to do in that offense, it is hard to replace great quarterback play, especially if you're not willing to commit to a quarterback. You have to commit to somebody, and then you have to build it around the person that you're committing to. So that's neither here nor there. And they go as their offense goes. And it doesn't make sense that you got an offensive-minded guy as a head coach, an offensive-minded guy at DT as the offensive coordinator, and you can't get your shit together. All right, going to FAMU, Musa has to play better. Musa has to play better. What you did at Albany State ain't good enough, Jack. All right, it's not good enough, sir. Did you see what NCCU did at Winston-Salem State? Shut them Bamas out, put up 41. That's what it looks like when you're dominant, when you shouldn't be on our field. So I think Alabama A&M has a good chance to get after Musa, but Musa has to play better, has to put those guys in great position. And Cam, I'm backing you up. I have never been an Isaiah Land fan. I said it. I don't give a damn about stats. If you watch the tape, he is not all that. If you're going to be an FCS Defensive Player of the Year, if you're going to do all this, you better back it up with this offensive line and this offensive team that couldn't pass to a fifth grader on a Pee Wee League, okay? You need to get it together, and Isaiah Land needs to have a breakout game here and show up and show out of why he was named the FCS Defensive Player of the Year. Don't show up on the small teams and get lost in the big teams. Can't have that. All right, so guys, give me your scores for the two games.
For FAM, Alabama A&M, I have FAM winning 31-10. I just feel like proving my point. Alabama A&M, they can't pass the football, and FAMU has too talented of a defense to where, like you guys said, being one-dimensional is not a recipe for success. I don't see them putting up more than a touchdown and 3 field goals. That's 10 points. 31-10 FAMU. Bethune-Cookman and Grambling, I have Grambling probably winning 24-17. I think that game will be relatively close because they're both going to be kind of competing with figuring out which signal caller can be good enough against the opposing defenses. But I think Maurice Washington has his breakout game, if healthy, gets multiple carries, gets over the 100-yard mark, and I think Grambling wins this relatively close one by pulling away in the fourth quarter.
What you got, Blue?
I got FAMU 24-13.
Okay.
I don't trust A&M to be able to keep up scoring. And also, man, everyone knows how hard it is to go in there and win at Bragg. And with this being the home conference opener for them, since they played that Jackson State game down in Miami, I think Bragg's going to be packed. They're going to be ready. And also, coming off a bye week, teams can be dangerous because it gives them a chance to rest up. And I don't think there was a team in the country that needed a bye week more than FAMU, especially after how those first 3 games went, everything that went on behind the scenes. They needed a week to reset. And I think you saw the difference, Scotty. If you watch Willie Simmons' press conference from last week and his this week, you could tell that like he finally seemed to, he feels like he has like a little bit more control because he looked distressed a week ago after those first 3 weeks, to say the least. He sounded defeated in that car after the Orange Blossom Classic. He was upset. I don't blame him. I get it. But, man, you could just tell it was too much. But, you know, I didn't predict the Grambling-Bethune game, but just off the top of my head, I got Bethune. I mean, my bad. Ooh, almost messed myself up. Got Grambling, I'll say 14-10. I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game.
Oh, man, this one's tough. I think I'm not doing a jinx pick on this one, and I hope I don't. Listen, forgive me. Because I know they're like, please don't pick us. Please don't pick us. Right, like, please don't pick us. Please don't pick us, Scotty. Please don't pick us. Oh, man. I think Musa's going to find himself in some trouble. I really do. I think that Alabama A&M defense, I think they're going to find short fields. I think they're going to get in good situation. And I don't trust Ryan Smith. This is the same guy who couldn't do basic alignment against Jackson State. Like, I can show you film after film after film after film of this Bama who can't line up his defense correctly. All right, so Xavier's going to start. I think Alabama A&M wins. I'm going to go with 17. I'm going to go 17-10. I'm going to go 17-10 Alabama A&M. I know it's hard to. I know it's hard to play at Bragg. I know. But I just think Alabama A&M's defense is going to come play, and they're going to be ready. I don't think it has anything to do offensively. I think offensively it's going to be like South Carolina State. They're just going to be in the oh shoot, we in the red zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't got to go nowhere. We in the red zone. We just got to start. You know, so I think it's going to be a lot of that. Grambling, Bethune, I'm doing a jinx pick. I got Bethune winning 21-14. All right, that's a jinx pick. Bethune winning 21-14.
So let me get y'all's opinion on this. Someone just, hey, appreciate the donation, real talk, but he wanted to know, I think I know y'all's answers, which conference actually benefited the most from Coach Prime landing in HBCU football, MEAC or SWAC?
Neither. And the reason why I'm saying neither is because I think the MEAC has always been the better HBCU football conference than the SWAC. I just think Jackson State going up to the Celebration Bowl, getting whooped down to the ground against South Carolina State confirmed that. South Carolina State has kind of been the HBCU hub for producing pros to the next level. Hargraves, Durant, Leonard. And I think NCCU, if anything, has started to match that level by being like, you know what, we got to bring in our underclassmen, develop them so we can compete with STSU. So, it hasn't really done anything. Jackson State's gotten better, but, FAMU's kind of tailed off a little bit. Texas Southern, is starting to become a growing giant, but I don't think that has anything to do with Deion. It just means they did a better job of recruiting the state of Texas. And Valley still sucks. So, I mean, I'm sorry. MEAC better than the SWAC. It's sad because the MEAC have like 6 teams. The SWAC has like double that. And the SWAC still is trash in comparison to the MEAC. So, I'm going to say no.
Bro, I just wanted to welcome you to all the same watch lists. Me and Scotty are on all the same cities we're banned from because, whoa, man, you saved yourself by saying you were a Jackson State alum, but that's about it. That's all you've done tonight. That's all you've done tonight. But I was gonna go the complete opposite and say a little bit of both, really and truly, because one, I do think in some form Coach Prime going to Jackson State did bring more eyes. So even if you don't let me put it like this, even if you don't like Prime and Jackson State and you're rooting against them because they've become the quote unquote villains of the conference, it's created Alabama A&M fans. It's created FAMU fans. It's created South Carolina State fans, etc. And it's made more people pay attention to the teams that they want to beat Jackson State. Let's just be a buck about it. So I think that's how it's benefited some of the SWAC teams, but how it's benefited the MEAC, and I know this is going to be a little stretch here. I'm going to do some mental gymnastics with you guys, is if South Carolina State to win over Jackson State did more than them beating anybody else in the SWAC if Prime wasn't there. And if y'all, and let me just say this, if NCCU goes undefeated this year, gets to the Celebration Bowl and beats Jackson State, what is that going to do for that program and Trey Oliver? So I think it actually benefits both. I'm just gonna put it out there. That's gonna be my argument tonight.
Cam, me and Cam had this conversation early this morning. I literally said the same thing. I said, and he said it. He brought it up. He said if they go both undefeated, they meet in the Celebration Bowl, and they lose to a MEAC team again, what's the narrative? Because then it just lets you know that SWAC is. Anyway, I'm gonna ask you the question. The question is this, because that's way down the line. The question is this: I think okay. I think it helped the MEAC because it shows how much more football is played in the MEAC than in the SWAC. I think Deion, to me, what I see is Deion shine the light and says, "Hey, y'all not as good as y'all think you are, and let me show you why you're not." And I think he just exposes a lot of the bad coaching, a lot of the bad schemes, a lot of the bad situations that coaches like, "Oh, I just run this because I run this, and I don't need this." And I think he really showed a light on that. And as he's continued to grow and move his team forward, I think the SWAC has slowly tried to catch up. I think you have great coaches like Fred McNair who are just like, yo, I coach football. That's what I do. You build a program, we're going to compete. But I just think a lot of other coaches they're just there. If I'm being honest, I think they're place fillers. And, as Coach Maynard said, they get paid to win SWAC games. They don't get paid to do anything else, and if anything that you can get mad about Deion, or you can say whatever, he was not lying when he said at the halftime, we're playing down to HBCU, because at the end of the day, if you got a head coach saying I get paid to win SWAC games, that just lets you know that he don't care about nothing else. And being great is overarching on everything you want to do. I don't want to just be great in the SWAC. I want to be great overarching. So I think what Deion did is show how much better the football is in the MEAC and how serious they take it and how well produced it is. And I think what Deion showed in the SWAC is just that you guys got to come up, and you got to do a lot better. That's what I. So I kind of agree with you, Blue. I think it helped both ways, but just not to the same extent of showing, one showed the flaws and one showed the positives, the light. My game of the week, Prairie View, Alabama State. Guys, give me your X factors and give me your score.
So X factors for this game for not Alcorn, tripping. Alabama State. I'm going to say it is D. Davis. I mean, that's kind of easy. He hasn't been out there for the past 2 weeks. So to kind of see him back on the field, running that spread, run option offense within the Alabama State team will be pretty interesting against a PV squad that I feel has the second best defense in the SWAC. Tremendous front seven. They do a pretty good job of containing mobile quarterbacks. We saw what they did to Andrew Body to start the season. Those guys, they can rush seven and get after it. So I'm interested to see that dynamic. And then my X factor for PV is Conley. He didn't play last week. There's questions on if he does play. I mean, if he does play, his importance is important because in a weird way, he is kind of their offense. I know we were kind of all shocked not really shocked, but he didn't complete a pass to start the year. And then the next game against Abilene Christian, he threw for 250. So you kind of see the best of both worlds with him at times. He's a rhythm passer, so he needs kind of completions to go his way to kind of get in a full groove. And we know he can do it with his legs. I think that's going to be important against an Alabama State team that I feel struggles at times to stop the run. They're very deep in the back end. We know PV's not going to be throwing the ball around. So Conley's legs, I think, can open up passing lanes down the field. So I think the quarterbacks will be X factors for their respective teams.
All right, what's your score?
I have Alabama State winning 27-17.
Okay.
They're at home. I think offensively they're a little.
You
bit
are the
more
only
dynamic than
participant in the conference.
And I think
all
defensively,
participants are muted.
My bad.
while they're not as talented, while they're not as talented in the front seven as PV is, their backing is tremendous, and I do think eventually Conley's going to have to put it up in the air, and I expect Culpepper, Urshot, and them guys to make plays, maybe even score one for a touchdown. So I have Alabama State winning by double digits at home.
All right, what you got, Blue?
It's hard to single out one guy. I'm going to say the PV defense is going to be the X factor because they went out there. Listen, I'm going to Hammond this weekend to watch Incarnate Word in person, cover that Southeastern Louisiana Incarnate Word game. They held Incarnate Words to season lows. And this is an Incarnate Word team 60 on Southern Illinois who just beat an FBS team. 55 on an FBS team in Nevada, beat them by double digits. And they go into PV, and it's not the same. And they've really struggled early in that game to put up points and put up yards like they were doing against everybody. And PV has a really, really good defense. Let's just keep it real. I mean, that defense is legit. I got to give a lot of credit to Bubba McDowell. He's been very quiet, Scotty. Everyone joked, including us, that and we haven't heard anything from PV. What's going on all off season? What are we doing down there? Is Bubba McDowell going to talk? I don't know if you guys feel the same way in those press conferences watching them. I just feel a quiet confidence from Bubba McDowell. He just he never blinks on anything, man, and he seems confident. But for Alabama State, it's the health of D Davis. Eddie Robinson Jr. hinted that he could come back, but said, "Listen, we're confident in Miles Crawley." And so my question is D Davis wasn't healthy enough to practice all week. Does he roll with Crawley, who he believes is a QB1, and saves Davis for later on in SWAC play and doesn't want to risk a more significant injury depending on whatever it is? That's gonna be my X factor for me. I haven't picked a lot of upsets this year. I mean, I picked a few, but that North Carolina Central game. But I'm gonna go with upset. I think PV walks into Alabama State, wins this game. I got PV winning 21-17 over Alabama State.
So Blue, it's funny that you brought up that UIW game. I watched it. Again this morning, and I'll say this. I'll say PV's front four is legit. PV's front four, they are legit. That back end is not what they think they are. I think that they play a bend but don't break style to where they'll keep everything in front of them because they're hoping that front four will get to you, and they will. Listen, UIW is not Alabama State. Do you hear me? Okay, them offensive lines are not made the same. So that PV front four is LaTroy James. Them boy, they will come after you. So that's where I think they make their money at. If I'm Alabama State, if I watch that UIW defense, okay, let me say this: if CJ, I think his name is CJ Dumas. Yeah. If CJ Dumas is playing, I'm taking the same game plan UIW did. I'm squeezing the box. I'm going cover one, and you better throw it. You better throw it because I'm loading up the box. If you add Connolly, I might do a little zone in there or whatever, but I'm taking the UIW game plan because what they said was we're going to dare you to throw on us. We know you want to run the ball. We're gonna have 8 in the box, and we dare you to throw. My X factor is once again that PVD line. Whoever's playing quarterback, but the D line for PV has to show up. My X factor for Alabama State is the run game. Ja'Cory Merritt, Santo Dunn. I don't know if you're going to have Crawley or Demetrius Davis, but you're going to have to take the pressure off. You're going to have to take the pressure off of whoever's playing quarterback back there, because I'm telling you right now, no matter how good UIW's passing game is, they still got some small but little big runs here and there throughout the game, which kept them in manageables, 2nd and 5s, 3rd and 3s, those type of situations with running the ball. You still have to commit to running the rock. Santo Dunn, Ja'Cory Merritt have to show up in that aspect. Listen, this is a jinx. This is going to be a jinx pick. PV wins.
That record sticks in your back of your head. You're like, damn, man, if I pick wrong, like I'm gonna be
you know what I'm saying? This is the jinx pick. PV 21-17 over Alabama State. Over Alabama State. That's what I got. 21-17. Listen, man, I hope Eddie Robinson and all that NFL experience, you actually put it on paper, because at the end of the day, this PV team is so one-dimensional, it's not even funny. It's really not even funny how one-dimensional they are. And you saw it with UIW. UIW is like, is this what y'all been worried about? This offense? But defensively, they legit. Front four is legit. They're worth every penny to come watch. And UIW took advantage of them in the passing game because, listen, go watch a PV game. Them Bamas are off 7 to 10 yards as a DB. They're giving you 5 yards of pap. They're giving you, the smoke route. It's all kind of crazy stuff, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so that's the game of the week.
Stop it.
Oh, man. Wayne's a clown, man. Hey, I love Wayne. Appreciate you, man. I always on the show, but yeah, he had to throw that one out.
Man, listen, he said, did I miss that? I want to know. Let's get to these callers. Caller 4082, you live.
What's going on, Scotty?
What's up?
It's Serve calling from Huntsville.
What's up, Serve?
All right. All right, let's get into this.
He's an Alabama A&M guy.
So, yeah. So, the issue, you guys are all spot on about the QB play. I mean, we've been saying this since the very first week. When you guys get a chance, I only watched this game once. I never rewatched it. But I want you guys to look at the last interception that Quincy Casey threw. And this is what I'm talking about. With 3 former quarterbacks being on the coaching staff, if you look at him roll out to the right on this play, he doesn't see anything. But the tight end is literally setting the edge for him to run. Like, if you go look at the play, it is nothing but green grass in front of him. The problem is in our offensive concept, the quarterback is not a real threat to run. I don't know why, because it's not like Achilles back there anymore. Both of the quarterbacks are mobile, but they not doing no running. And they damn sure ain't doing no throwing. I think what needs to happen is the defense is going to play decent enough against FAMU. I believe they can stop the run. But they have to get these quarterbacks moving in order to try to open up this passing game, or else we're gonna be sitting ducks back there.
All right, so
you got to make it easy on everybody. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm close with Q. So I asked him about that play. I'm like, yo, Q, what's up with that? He said one guy didn't do somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, because if you look at the play, there's nobody to throw it to. But
Right.
If you do a bootleg to the short side of the field, it's usually a flood concept or a smash concept. It's you'll either have the outside guy running a now route, you'll have the inside guy running something like a corner or a sail concept, and then you'll have the backside tight end doing a drag. That is a flood concept. So you go low to high.
Right.
That's how you work it. Well, if you look, there's nobody to throw it to. So it's like, why? So it doesn't even make, because I asked you, I'm like, it doesn't even make sense. Why would you have a bootleg concept and nobody's there to throw? And he told me, he said, Scotty, I didn't even see he said, I was trying to throw it out of bounds and I didn't even see the guy. I saw the front guy. I didn't see the guy behind him. And that's why, he got the pick. So, but I asked him about the play. I said, what happened there? So that's what happened.
This is my response to that, though. You don't just throw it straight to the defender, one. But literally, as he's rolling out, he doesn't have bricks for feet. It's literally 8 to 10 yards of green grass right in front of him when he doesn't see anybody. You can't deny that. It's right there. I mean, we're trying to get first downs, not a touchdown every play.
You can't tell a quarterback. It's just right there. You can't tell a quarterback, don't throw it to a defender that he didn't see. Like, you can't say that. Don't throw it to a defender, but he didn't. He said, Scotty, I saw the first guy. I didn't see the guy behind him. So when I'm trying to throw it out of bounds, I didn't see him. So you can't tell a quarterback, don't throw it at a guy you don't see. That doesn't even make sense, sir.
Well, the ball ain't go out of bounds.
If he didn't see the guy there, he thought the ball was going to go out of bounds, sir. What are you talking about?
Look, of course, I'm not watching it from his viewpoint.
Of course, you're not. You're not
as you can see the play. Go ahead. What are you saying?
You're not the quarterback, sir. I talked to the quarterback who was in the play.
To his defense,
you're saying I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but that ain't the result that came out of the play. What I'm saying, the ball ain't go out of bounds. At the end of the day, it turned into an interception. 1 of 7.
Sir.
I mean, I kind of get what so he's saying, okay, you didn't see the second defender. So instead of throwing it deep out of bounds, all you got to do is make it past the line of scrimmage. Why didn't you just toss it past the line of scrimmage out of bounds? I kind of get that, but
I'm not even nitpicking that. I want to see him get yards. He's 8 to 10 yards in front of him, regardless of anything that you say about the play breaking down or the concept.
You have to remember though, sometimes
nothing there, and there's nothing but yards in front of them, nothing but green grass.
Sometimes quarterbacks are handcuffed by the offense. You don't know, because some quarterbacks, if they run, you're in a quarterback battle. If your offensive coordinator says, we do not want you scrambling, just throw it away, get rid of the ball. Because anyone who's played football, you get advice. If they call the play, they say, if that wide receiver's not there, throw it away. And so maybe he's so focused in on where's that receiver, where can I throw it away, that he doesn't even notice the green grass. Like, it's things like that where in his back of his head.
That's what I think is happening. That was the point of my comment. That's what I think is happening. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so you're saying the offensive coordinator needs to give them a little bit more freedom to open up the offense?
I'm saying what I would like to see is I would like to see the quarterback become more of a. I would like the play calling to be adjusted so that the quarterbacks run a bit more than what they do now, because right now they just sitting
that's a
back
lie. Xavier runs all the time, sir. What are you talking about? They run option plays with
Xavier.
Xavier. So what are you talking
I
about?
watched several plays. Go ahead. You go ahead first.
What are you talking about? Xavier has option plays. He's run QB draws. He's run QB powers. What are you talking about? You can't run.
Course,
you can't
those
run
plays.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go finish your point.
So of course those plays are in the playbook, but I'm thinking, like I'm saying, I think Blue get what I was trying to say. It's like a mindset thing. A lot of plays when they snap the ball and they drop back, 3-step drop, there's nothing there, and it's like they're just gonna keep sitting there and then just throw the ball away, or either get sacked or throw a pick.
Scotty, he's trying to say that he hopes the coaching staff before the game is like, listen, Quincy, Xavier, listen, y'all got free reign. If it's not there, get out of the pocket and try to get some yards with your legs. And so he's just saying that he feels like the mindset isn't there where they're not looking downfield to scramble much.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't listen, man. I don't know what game you watching. Xavier does that all the time. Q doesn't do that because that's not Q's strength. That's not his thing. Like listen, mobility and a running quarterback are two different things. I want to be very clear about what I'm saying. Mobility is like Shador, right? But Shador is a mobile guy. He gets yards when he gets them, and then he gets down or he gets out or whatever. But like some quarterbacks that are like Jalen Jones is a running quarterback. Xavier is a running quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Andrew Body can be a running quarterback. Like they're built differently. You know what I'm saying? Like they can take the hits of a guy like an Andrew or a Jalen or Xavier. Xavier's like 6'1", like 200. He's like 195, 200. Quincy's like 6 foot, 175. Like what? They're not the same. They're not. So the mobility is the ability to move the pocket. The mobility is the extra to a kill. A bootleg is calling for too much for a kill. Okay. For him to extend the play is asking a lot for a kill. But there's a difference between mobility and a guy that runs the ball, sir. But I mean, I get what you're saying, but go ahead.
No, I'm trying to give it. I don't get your disagreement. You just said a lot, but I don't get the disagreement with anything I just stated.
My issue with what you're saying is that I told you what the quarterback saw. I'm telling you what he said, and you're like, it still ended up in a pick. How many quarterbacks would tell you if they throw it across the field and the D-line drops, I didn't see the D-lineman? And you over here talking about, well, it resulted in the pick. It resulted in the pick because I couldn't see the D-lineman. Thank you for the call, sir. Jesus. This how we started off the night? This how we started off the night?
Those jinx picks, bro, like I think your payback, your payback is these call lines on the round table.
Oh my gosh. Like I talked to the quarterback. Like, hey, I didn't see him. Oh, okay. You didn't see him. Let's pick. All right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's good, but that's what happened. All right. 9868 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Yo, what up, y'all?
What's up?
This is Calvin calling from the Jet.
What's up?
Hey, quick question. Was that Coach Green?
No, that wasn't Coach Green.
He's about to have a headache hour part 2. Hey, real talk. I got a serious question though. Damn it, potholes. Jackson potholes. Hey, I'm driving to Jackson. I'm not shit. Hey,
feel your pain, the struggle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Sound like somebody jacked them. Oh,
I ain't trying to talk about my city.
Go ahead.
Hey, but serious though. Hey, I watched that UAB A&M game, right?
Yeah.
Now I don't care about that play. I care about more his psyche right now. Like, before he took the first snap, it looked like he was doing some woosah, like he was yodeling, like he was It looked like he was nervous. You know what I'm saying? You know that?
Why wouldn't he be?
Did y'all see that?
Well, go ahead, Cam. Cam,
all right, I'm gonna be honest. This is just me. This is my personal opinion. I don't think Maynard rocks with QC. I don't think he likes him. And you can kind of see it in the play calling. It doesn't feel like he's deriving anything that coincides within his skill set, because we all know QC is a pretty good thrower of the football who does utilize his mobility to excel with his arm. And so I did see the breath. And, Scotty's like, his first game of the year, it happens. I kind of looked at it as he knows. Like, coming into the year, Maynard was basically like, yeah, QC got the job. Barely. And QC knows coming into the game, like, bro, like, coach don't believe in me. And so I have to maximize every possession I can get to maintain my job. And that leads to messing up. That leads to miscommunication. And we saw that throughout the UAB game. So I just don't feel like Alabama A&M's offense and QC is a good fit. I really think he should go somewhere else. And it's unfortunate, because I think we all thought when he made the transfer there, going off of how he played during the spring season, we thought match made in heaven because of what he was able to get out of Akil Glass. It just hasn't worked at all, and he's suffering because of it, because he's playing a lot worse. He's playing really bad, and he's better than what he's showing. So that's my personal take on it.
I mean, that's true. Now I'm gonna rewind something back. And year before COVID, Jackson's quarterback rotation was Jalen Jones, QC. I can't remember the other quarterback names. Like, it's a three-headed monster quarterback. Jalen Jones, I showed flashes, but he, and then flashes weren't long enough. Then QC showed flashes, they weren't long enough. Inconsistent play, what I'm saying. And I think Jackson ended up being the redshirt him that year. Of course, he did with his thing, A&M in the spring.
Get to your question.
What's up?
Get to your question.
Hold on. I ain't Coach Green, man.
Get to it.
Rambling.
Ask your question.
Hey, my question is, Jesus Christ, Daddy. I'm dodging potholes, man. Come on, chill out.
Chill out.
Hey, Chris, my question is Maynard that dude as a coach?
No. Because right now it doesn't look like it. It looks like Akil Glass made him. So he has time to potentially change the narrative, but I just don't see it, man. They're too talented offensively to be this inept. QC showed at Jackson State he can play football. Why does he look like he can't play quarterback? Why does he look like he's broken? I think a lot of that is on Maynard demanding from his two QBs to run what he wants, and that doesn't coincide with what they can do. So, as of right now, looks like Akil made him. Looks like Maynard isn't that guy. And he's got the rest of the year to change the narrative, but if he doesn't, you got to get up out of there. That's my personal take. So.
Listen.
All right. Well,
I'm not. I'm not going to go. Oh, Jesus. I'm not going to go that far, right?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about that.
Because he did go to the Division II National Championship. He did win at.
What did he do at Hampton?
He did okay. He wasn't bad, but at Winston-Salem, he did have. Let me drop Shaw said, let me drop a bomb for you. Cam. But I do think he is being exposed offensively. And I had a call from a subscriber, a good friend of mine, and he said nobody should be using the offensive guru in the SWAC. Nobody should Nobody should be using that, because it's not if you're saying you're offensive guru and you cannot change, if you cannot mold, if you cannot coach around your talent, then what guru or who are you teaching? As a guru, you're supposed to be a teacher. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't teach, listen, man, if you can't make somebody look decent, you know what I'm saying? If your offense can't look somewhat decent with talent, then there's a problem to what to what you do and what you are. So I do think that he's not as offensive guru-ish as people like to say. And listen, Dooley about to be on that same train.
Okay, I'm gonna try to offer a little bit of perspective to the conversation. I think it's somewhere in the middle, man. And here's what I say. Like, we know Maynard is a good coach. He's proven it at multiple stops, and he can build a team a certain way. What I think happened is that loss to Jackson State got him out of his element, and he tried to go outside his comfort zone to build a team. And I think what they did is they put too much credit into the transfer portal. And I've been on Scotty's show. I don't know how many times I've said this. That strategy is not going to work for every school, and every transfer isn't built the same. And they haven't had the success rate out of the transfer portal that a Jackson State has had. So what I think has happened is they abandoned the strategy that has worked for Maynard to win the SWAC championship, to get to the D2 championship in Winston-Salem. He abandoned his roadmap that he's built throughout his career and tried to do it another way, and it just hasn't worked for him. And when you look at a lot of the successful players that have come from his program, they've been homegrown talent. And so we know he can develop players in-house. I just don't think the transfers he's brought in has fit the culture, the scheme, or worked out in that program yet. So before we say he's not a good coach or just not that guy, I would say he needs to refocus and understand what got him to this point and do it that way, rather than trying to make another guy's or another coach's blueprint fit him.
Listen, I got to disagree on Blue on that one, because when he was at Winston-Salem, most of his top players would drop downs. Most of his top players would drop down. I got that from a guy who was on staff with him. He said most of the talent that Winston-Salem had was from drop down from D1s to D2s. So Maynard was doing a transfer portal before a transfer portal was hot. Now he still had, like Blue said, he still had to groom some guys, but the major playmakers on that squad from Winston-Salem, when they went to that, I think they went 14-1 or 14-2 that year, was drop down D1 talent. So I think may not have pressure the administration. Portal.
Hey, I got like I mean, well, you stop. I ain't cut you off.
No, go. No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I know. No, seriously though, like I understand what happened at Winston State, and he did a good job. What happened at Hampton?
I mean, everybody's not always successful at every stop. That's coaching. Like, there's a lot of coaches that at one stop they weren't good, and they get to a new stop, they do better. Is that not true?
Touche. Touche. I know you probably got other callers on line, so I'm going to say some other things too real quick. Well, I got two other questions. This one's going to be quick, though. Is he on the hot seat?
No.
I don't think he should be, but I don't think he should be.
Nah.
Blue, I know you got on insiders.
No.
Okay, now, I agree with that too. Last question. Now, something that all the three of y'all said. This is my question though. A lot of SWAC coaches seem to be enamored by scheme, but they don't really know how to. As a coach, you gotta do what's best for your players. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that spread is not good. You might need to run that triple option. I mean, I know you can't switch from triple options to the spread. You know what I'm saying? But
I get your question.
Why can't?
Yeah, you're talking about coach.
I won't hang up. I know.
Coach towards your talent.
Go ahead. I'm listening to hang up on it.
I got you. Now he's talking about why are coaches so enamored with their own scheme that they won't coach toward their talent? That's the question.
We talked about that last week. I said that's why Jackson State, some of these successful teams you look, they either recruit players that already fit into the scheme, or if they get a player that's great and they need to fit it around, they can do that. If you look, the play, you got to coach the players you have, and I think that's what you've seen. Let's just take it to the FBS level real quick. Alabama. Look at the difference between the offense they ran with John Parker Wilson compared to the offense they're running with Tua. You have to evolve with football, and some coaches just aren't willing to do that. That's Les Miles is outside of the off the field reasons. One of the reasons he lost his LSU job is he was still trying to run under center and run, through the A gap
formation.
Yeah, he didn't evolve with the times, but you know what Saban did? He saw the spread and he said, "Listen, I'm gonna go get Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. We have to go put 60 on everybody." So you have to be able to evolve and adapt to the players you have and the trends of college football. So that's kind of where I'll leave it on that.
What about you, Cam?
Yeah, the great ones, they adapt to the times. Great anything. That's how longevity is a part of any picture when you come to doing any task. So, like, he brought up a great point with Nick Saban, John Parker Wilson, A.J. McCarron, those guys, they were under center, play action pass, deep shot to Amari Cooper, deep shot to Julio. You get two in Jalen Hurts, we're running the spread. And both equated to championships because as things evolve in the sport, you got to go along with it or else you're going to get left behind. And in the SWAC, there's a reason why Jackson State's currently dominating. And before JSU was even in the picture, there's a reason why Alcorn and Grambling had their run. They got with the times or just coincide with the players that they had. Build a scheme that coexists with the scheme that you have, the players that you have, rather, so they can thrive and you'll be successful instead of just sticking to, well, we have this coach, he has this philosophy, we're going to run that, although the personnel that we have within the program doesn't fit with the scheme that he's trying to run.
Yeah, and I like to me, it feels like a lot of times it's like I'm the smartest person in the room. That's what it feels like when I watch coaches who are consistently just bumping their head against the wall when I'm like, you're trying to do something that you cannot do with this team, or you're trying to add something of a quarterback that he just cannot do. You know what I'm saying? Or you're trying to add something of your offensive line that they just cannot do. So a good example is this. When I was in college and we had University of New Haven had just brought their program back, right? Bluefield, all this type of stuff. We got recruiting late, so our offensive linemen were really thin. They were really athletic. So what our offensive line said, he said, "Listen, bro," he said, "It's east west. We're going to outmaneuver people. We're not going to bang up in the trenches with you because the guys weren't heavy enough to really sit back and power block and just like go straight at you." So what we did was a lot of zone, a lot of sweep, a lot of pulling, a lot of off tackle, because the guys, he would just say, "Hey, all I need you to do is get in front of them. Just shield them for 1 or 2 seconds and let the running back hit the hole and get as much as he can." But you have offensive guys in the SWAC talking about we're gonna run a power scheme, and you got guards that can't push, they can't hold, they can't, you're not teaching them how to correctly double and move to the backer. You know what I'm saying? It's those type of stuff. They're not securing the first block and moving to the backer. And Blue, he can go all to the, Rick to Sally to Rick, whatever they call him, say all the names to it and things like that. But I just watched that and I'm just like, wow, like this is what it is, because it's a play that Jackson State did with like Sylveon Wilkerson, and they like the guard pushes them off to the center, and the guard goes and seals the linebacker, and Sylveon slips right through that jank. And I'm like, ooh, that's how it works. Zone reading where, you have, you like, and Blue, you can explain how you stop that guy from splitting that gap in between. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got a guy if you're the guard and you have a guy on your inside shoulder between the center, how do you keep that guy from splitting that gap before the center can cross his head?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get off the ball, man. It's all hand placement, footwork, and that's why those false steps that me and you talked about last year with Tony Gray and some of those guys in pass blocking and run blocking, if you got to take that extra step, you're already lost. Because guess what? Jablonski Green wasn't taking an extra step, and he was beating them across the face. And that's why stunts and everything's we're working against Jackson State last year, is because if you're not in your spot at the exact moment you need to be, it messes up everybody. Because if you're not in your spot, that means the guy next to you that's coming with you is not in his spot, and the guy over here is not in his spot because y'all aren't in the spot y'all need to be. And that's why a 5-man unit has to have so much chemistry, so much experience, because one person can mess it up. And working to the next level is one of the hardest things to do as a unit, because all it takes is the one guy who's supposed to be the main blocker not getting to his spot and not sealing off his guy where you could just hit him with the one arm and get up to the linebacker. If you got to actually engage and he can take up 2 blocks, which, by the way, Devontae Davis is one of the best in the SWAC at doing that, where he's so big and so strong that he requires the guy working up to the next level to really engage. And then you're late to the linebacker and the linebacker's in the hole already and you have no shot.
Man, love it. Thanks, Blue. 6757 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, Scotty?
What's good,
going
Jay?
on, Blue?
What's good, man?
All right, so check it. I'm going to jump in real quick. I ain't been on the show in a minute. So I'm listening to the comments, and I think y'all right on A&M. A couple things I'm going to throw at you guys just to get y'all take on it, right? So first thing first, what I see with the rotation of the quarterback play between Quincy and X is, I think, man, regardless of who your quarterback is, you got to pick one, right? You can't keep flip-flopping. In defense of Q, what I will say is this. Alabama A&M scored 2 touchdowns against Troy in the 4th quarter. Quincy led both of those touchdowns. One of them should have been a thrown touchdown, but at the end of the day, he did lead them down the field to score 2 touchdowns, to be fair, right? So then you look at the UAB game. Quincy played like trash. I mean, there's no question about it. But I also take in consideration, too, man, you have to be able to prepare your team for games. And I'm not trying to knock on the coaches, but I heard somebody say, oh, Q looked nervous. Shit, he probably was nervous. But I also look at, too, your kid, most of the time, your kids usually take the personality of the coaches. So if your coach is going to be nervous, man, what you expect a 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid to do playing in the FBS game, national television? You know what I mean? So for me, I think this space where A&M is at, either you've got to give Q the opportunity to mess up and still play the game. No quarterback will ever play the game at a high level when you're so worried about, if I make a mistake, you're going to pull me, to be fair. I watched the FSU game. I don't know if you guys saw it. When the quarterback got hurt, they put the backup quarterback in. On the first play, he came in and threw a pick. The first play. So they pulled him. He regrouped to get himself together. He goes back out. They win the game. So for me, I think you've got to really give it a chance to see what you got, to let your quarterback play through it, coach him through it, because the worst thing in the world is to be under pressure. And it goes for X too. You're under so much pressure that you're worried about your coaches, but then you can't perform on the field either because you're worried about the pressure. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I think ultimately, A&M had the toughest front-loaded schedule in the SWAC, so it's tough to say what they're made of. I think their defense did show some real zeal, considering how they played against Troy and Austin Peay the first half. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's still early on. I do agree with you guys saying about the transfer, all the portal stuff. You're trying to make those people link. But what y'all think? I mean, I think the other thing, too, is, man, you got to get past the fact that Aqeel ain't there no more, right? And some people can't get past that. You can't treat Tom Brady like you would treat Lamar Jackson. They're 2 different styles of quarterbacks. So what y'all think? I don't know.
I appreciate the call, Jay. So full disclosure, that is Quincy Casey's brother. That's my guy, Jay. Cool guy. To go to the second half of his thing, I said that from the beginning. No quarterback can be a quarterback if you feel like, if I make a mistake, you're going to pull me. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? Sure. If I make a mistake, you're going to pull me, because now I'm going to press. Now I don't feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because they weren't going to pull Aqeel Glass at Grambling. That boy was stinking up the joint. You know what I'm saying? But at this point in time, to me, this is how I would have played it. For UAB, I would have said, Q, you got it the first half. Whatever you do first, because you're not supposed to win the game anyway. So
they weren't beating UAB.
You weren't going to win the game anyway. So, you play the first half, X, you play the second half, right? Come back for the Troy game. X, you play that game. Q, you play the Austin Peay game. And from those games, I make my decision. We going through FAMU. Bam. That's how you leave it. But all this in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, who can get consistency? But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play at the highest level looking behind your shoulder. And I think it goes back to Serve's call. I think that's kind of what he was saying, is where the reason Q didn't really look to run is because if he was told that, listen, you need to look this guy, not there throw it away. He felt like if he did too much, it would piss off the coaching staff and they'd yank him. And so I think that's the conservative play that Serve was talking about. You can't have that, man. And like you said, you texted me, it was what, 21-0. And Q got, I think, had the strip sack, and then, Langford had a few turnovers, and it's just, in my opinion, I won't say they're playing favorites, man. I rock with the coaching staff. I know them, on a personal level, but based on the decisions they've made, there seems to be a small preference for Langford, and he has an ability to make more mistakes than Quincy without getting pulled.
This dude did a fumble, a pick six, a strip sack for 6, and stayed in the game. Go ahead, Cam. What you got?
Yeah, I agree with Blue. They like Langford. The problem with Langford is he's not that good. So, like, QC's better. He's better. So, like, ideally, the first 3 games of the season should have been kind of what Scotty said, a trial run for both QBs where each get a half.
Yeah.
And by the time we head into SWAC play, we know who we should rock with to get this SWAC championship. Instead, it didn't go that way at all. And I'm seeing Maynard, like, yelling at QC early on against UAB for like a mess up that I just felt like offensively they collectively messed it up. But he's just drilling him, and so you can kind of see it's affecting how he's playing. And so they want to rock with Langford. He's just not that good. And so now they're in a tough spot where they're both in a funk. QC's in a funk because he's afraid to mess up. Langford's in a funk because he's just not that good. And so now they're in SWAC play, and there's like literally no room for error, because kind of at a counteract Blue's point, I think the transfer portal has worked for them defensively. They're a lot better defensively.
Absolutely.
The problem is they have no type of function and ability at QB1. And it's affecting everybody on the offense, from Ibrahim to Quarles to the O-line. There's just no sense of structure and stability. And they're going to pay for it. And hopefully when this season is over, it's a glaring reminder to Maynard that sometimes you got to check your ego at the door and acquiesce to who's the most talented player in your QB room and go from there.
Absolutely. We don't have no more callers, so we can. I'm pretty proud of ourselves. We can end this pretty early, and everybody do what they do for their family. Blue got a girl. My man down here is married. You already know my lovely lady. You know what I'm saying? So guys, tell them about Cam. Tell them some stuff that you got coming up. Blue, talk about what you got coming up, and I'm gonna close it out.
Yeah, so for me, bring it back independent until sometime next week. I think it's gonna be me and Blue. That's probably gonna be the latest episode. We're gonna talk about collabing Tuesday. I'm gonna be producing PFF content. I gotta do it now every Sunday since the NFL's back. So I'm gonna probably be posting a recap for whatever game they give me. I'll put that out on IG, send it to my guys, and they could send it out to everybody else. So that's what's kind of going on my end. Stay tuned. Would love to be back on the roundtable with you guys again in the near future.
All right, appreciate you, man. We always love your insight. What's up, Blue? What you got?
Man, listen, be traveling this weekend. Gonna be down in Hammond, Louisiana, man. Southeastern Louisiana versus Incarnate Word. Get to see that team up close and personal, man. So I'll be making some highlights from that game. I'll be posting live tweets from the game and get some clips from pregame and things like that. Hopefully get to be in the press conference and get to cover one of the best FCS games of the weekend, man. For me, FCS recap on Sunday night as usual. Listen, Coach's Corner is probably going to be moved to Monday night, man, with my guy, Coach Fred. Every week, me and him are going to be breaking down and previewing some of the biggest games across the FCS and on top of that, the FBS level as well, man. Coach Fred, one of the best coaches out there, man, in the SWAC. Check out the website for predictions. Top 25 ballot dropping Sunday afternoon as well. I think there's going to be a lot of movement, Scotty. We got a lot of ranked versus ranked matchups, and there's always some upsets. So this is the first real week where I think things could really get shaken up at the top of the FCS level.
Oh man, you said a ballot? You said your ballot drop? You singing?
No, man, ballot, like B-A-L-L-O-T.
I thought you said ballot like a B-L-L-A-D.
No, like my top 25 ballot that I submit for the FCS stats.
You said ballot, like you out here. You sing, bro? I'm like,
no voice for me, man. Listen, I'm a stat guy. We can't sing. We can't have it all.
I can't have it all. I'm like, that's how you got your girl. You over there. Tennessee Whiskey. Anyway, listen, prayer call Sunday at 2:00. You already know. Listen, put your prayers in. You know what I'm saying? We'll pray for the potholes of Jackson. We'll pray for your wins. We'll pray for your losses. We'll pray for your house. You know what I'm saying? If your girl about to leave you, we'll pray for that. Just listen, don't let your pride block your blessing. We're going to pray for Cam to get a new shirt because Oklahoma City sucks. All right, so we praying for everything out here. It ain't going to be me because my prayer going to hit the ceiling and come back down. We're praying for Urban to pay his bet, okay? Urban Network Trucking Podcast. Pay up to Paris, right? It was a Paris. You owe $500, Urban. Jesus Christ.
Urban, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Boy, listen, we got to send them boys after you, bro. I ain't even going to lie to you. All right, pray for Valley. Yeah, we going to pray for them too. All right, so we doing all that for the prayer call. What else? Listen. Do not hold me to this. I'm gonna try to do some film breakdowns for Friday. Okay, I'm gonna try to have some small snippets of film breakdowns. It won't be live. It'll just be some small, key game plan things that I see from different teams. I'm gonna try to do that. I might get lazy. I might not do it, but I want to do it. So I want you guys to hold me accountable, but don't hold me to it. All right. Anyway, so I'm thinking about doing that on Friday, dropping the little gems like that. Saturday, game of the week watch party, Alabama State PV here on the channel. I will do a pregame show. We'll make some bets with the scores and everything. You know how I do.
Not you, Urban. Urban, you're banned. If you call in, we're hanging up.
Yeah,
Blocked from the call line.
Now he said I'm out. Yeah, no, hey, we ain't taking it. Listen, anything you win on the channel goes directly to Paris. Okay, you listen, like child support. All right, let me get that. All right, so so we doing that. Pray for my chick falsely accused today. Oh shoot, oh dang, that's crazy. And then you already know Monday Afterglow show as we always do, and Sunday's my day off. So listen and pray for my Cowboys. We try to
long season ahead.
Yo, you don't even watch NFL. Why are you talking, bro?
Hey, my Dolphins looking real solid this year.
Now you all my Dolphins looking real solid this year.
Dolphins.
What about the last 20 years?
Horrible. Listen, 1972 was the year, bro. Undefeated, 16-0.
Still never meet. It's still not duplicated. All right, so pray for the Cowboys. I just want y'all to do that. Pray for Cooper Rush. Wish nothing but the best for him. All right. So listen, guys, I appreciate it, Cam. I appreciate you, Blue, as always. But boy, Blue, I appreciate you as well. So listen, until next time, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna holler. God bless. Hey, and Cam, where can they find? Yeah, he
Listen, he heard the mouse click. He said, I'm out. I don't even want. He said, just in case someone calls in. He said he didn't want Rocky to call in, put him on the spot.
Hey, what about those white offensive linemen? I was about to say, where can they find this podcast? But
all podcast streaming platforms, bro. The Intel podcast. I'll plug my guy for him.
All right, appreciate it, Blue. Hey, now we out. All right, peace, guys.